listening to Ring Chronicles with Lance Vaughn and Glenn Ritchie.
All right, man. What's going on?
You know what it is.
Yep. I heard some news this past week that some wrestler returned or something. Have you heard this?
Yeah, R-Truth.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. It's about time, man. I missed him.
Yeah, I know.
He's wonderful.
He is actually
He's
extremely
he's
underrated.
Very underrated. Kind of a relic from the Ruthless Aggression era, maybe?
Well, he was in TNA during that time. He's actually a former champion there.
Yeah.
And he joined the WWE later during the PG era.
The PG era. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
His biggest moment was at the Capital Punishment pay-per-view in Washington, D.C. when he fought against John Cena. That's his big moment that he had, and he lost, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, do we have any errors or omissions from last week's episode?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think I have anything either.
There was a Lariat of Hate on Twitter. If I can find it. I don't even remember what it was, but let's see if I can find the profile. It was a recent comment that I made. Oh yeah. So I was watching Dynamite, right?
Right.
And I was like, so WWE brings back Punk.
Mm-hmm.
First thing on AEW, a match with Jon Moxley. It's like they've stopped trying. And this guy named R, with no profile picture, responds, AEW has had viewership increase on Dynamite 3 weeks in a row. Mm-hmm. So obviously they're doing something right. I don't know if that's sarcasm or if the guy's serious, but that's the problem with the AEW marks is you can't tell.
Right. Well, if he is an AEW mark, then he probably is being serious.
He probably is being serious. Yeah, we've had 50 more fans from last week, man. We're doing it right.
That's right. All right. So on TikTok, I posted a clip from last week's episode. So the main topic last week was the Attitude Era, breaking down the Attitude Era.
Oh yeah, these comments.
And comparing it to today and whatnot. So there's here's a guy named Bagel Sandwich. I watch AEW weekly, and am watching the Attitude Era / Ruthless Aggression over in my spare time. This is a truly horrific take.
Was this when I said that AEW today is better than the Attitude Era?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What? Now, when I said that, I was meaning like just overall quality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Another comment. This is my favorite comment of all comments so far. We need to start drug testing podcasters. And finally, this is wildly incorrect. AEW is dog shit, in all caps.
Well, I mean, let's say like I was forced to watch only one thing, the Attitude Era or AEW. Mm-hmm. I would struggle with that because on one hand, the Attitude Era had some great moments.
Yeah.
But, like, when it comes to the quality of in-ring performance, AEW has that beat.
Yeah.
Aside from, like, some specific matches.
Right.
And specific wrestlers.
Yeah.
The average match on Raw was 90 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just, as far as overall wrestling, it just wasn't good. I mean, I'm sorry. Yep. And I think what it is, you got a lot of these people that started watching wrestling during the Attitude Era.
Yep.
And unlike them, I've saw wrestling before the Attitude Era, so I had things to compare it to in my mind.
That's right.
And of course, I watch wrestling during the Attitude Era because I just watch wrestling anyway. I watch it when it's terrible.
Right.
Although Dynamite was pretty rough last week, but so that didn't help my argument any.
Right.
So I don't know. You know, they have right to their opinion. You know, so I mean, they disagree with me. That's okay.
As long as they're listening.
Yeah,
and hopefully the algorithm keeps forcing us down their throat.
Yeah. We need more viewers and listeners.
Yeah.
We need money.
Yeah, we need money.
We need sponsors.
Somebody sponsor us.
We don't want to do this like our jobs anymore. We want to just talk about wrestling.
We haven't made a shout out to Creature Comforts Brewing lately in Athens, Georgia.
Please
to sponsor us. God damn it. God damn it. We will spend a half hour hawking your beer. Promise.
Yeah, if you pay us enough money where we can quit our jobs, we will talk about it every day.
Yeah.
every freaking day.
Daily tweets, daily Instagram, daily TikToks.
We'll learn hacker skills to like hack like YouTube or something and like force people to hear us talk about your beer.
Yeah. It'll be like the old NWO promos where it like comes in all staticky, except his Ring Chronicles.
His Ring Chronicles. Yeah. It's like, hey, check out this beer.
All right. Well, I guess that'll do it for Lariat of Hate.
Yeah, that'll do it for Lariat of Hate.
Anything else we need to mention before we get into our main topics?
Nope, I think that's it. We got 2 topics today.
All right, so where do you want to start?
CM Punk.
Could he possibly be another wrestler that returned last week?
There's also Randy Orton.
And Randy Orton. Shit, we had 3 huge, massive returns in one show.
Yeah. I saw this on the Pro Wrestling World Facebook page.
Yeah.
And it's I guess it's a big, huge tweet or something by someone named O'Shea Jackson Jr. At O'Shea Jackson Jr. Okay. He's talking about CM Punk. He didn't like Vince's decision-making politics. He leaves. AEW starts because once again we want we're unconventional edgelord type people, and we don't want the same old stuff. So they get Punk. Everything's great. Punk's happy. But Punk finds out that it's a asylum run by the patients. Calls people out on their shit. Calls them children. They don't like that he don't want to be part of their treehouse club or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's constant shots and promos or behind the scene in their behind the scenes shows. Things finally come to a head when they barge into his dressing room when he told him he didn't want to speak. He gets suspended, comes back, can't go to their show, so Tony makes a show for him where they can't go. They complain that they're banned from the new show, even though Punk is allowed to go to Dynamite. Then gets called out by another guy on AEW's biggest pay-per-view ever that they just completely just go bananas over. Wembley. All right, we get it, Wembley. They're already selling tickets for Wembley next year.
Yeah.
He answers the call. He goes old school. But instead, he gets fired and has to deal with getting dragged publicly. Those children do victory laps on his show about him being out of work. Then WWE makes him an offer. It's no longer ran by Vince. There's a new regime, which is what he wanted. And he makes history by just standing on top of the ramp in a white T-shirt.
Yep.
AEW lost. I saw another thing. I don't know if this is true, but it sounds true. Apparently, at the same time, CM Punk was the biggest merchandise seller at AEW and WWE at the same time.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that too. And it's now my only question there is Tony Khan was asked to comment on Punk's return. He said he can't because of legal reasons. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, if you can't legally speak about him, how can you legally sell his merchandise? You know what I'm saying?
Is he selling his merchandise?
I don't know.
Let's go.
I don't
know. What is it called? What is their website for merchandise? I know WWE's WWE shop.
I think it's AEW shop.
Okay, AEW shop. I'm searching it. ShopAEW.com.
Shop AEW.
All right, so we're looking this crap up. All right, I'm going to do the search bar. If my phone will There we go. Search CM Punk. And there's suggestions for things to come up. And what pops up is the official merchandise store of CM Punk. And there's a ton. What is it? There's at least 4 things. Well, there is a T-shirt, a poster, back-to-school poster print. Yeah, there is merchandise on AEW for CM Punk on shopaew.com. I'm assuming that's their official website. So there you go. Mm-hmm. They're still making money off of CM Punk. How sad is that?
I just want to know how that's possible.
I don't know either.
I don't know how. I mean,
maybe Tony Khan's like a jilted lover, and it's hard for him to talk about it. You know,
maybe. I mean, apparently that goes both ways because I was expecting CM Punk to take shots at AEW in his first promo, but he didn't.
Well, he's working for the WWE. The WWE talks about promoting their own brand.
That's true.
They don't talk about other companies, and they promote their own stuff. And he's there to promote himself in WWE.
That's true, but this is a guy that's gonna kind of do his own thing regardless. Which is probably something we will get into. Are they going to be able to rein in Punk?
There's a behavior clause in his contract.
Okay, what does that say exactly?
I don't know the details, but apparently in the contract that he signed with the WWE, there are stipulations for certain behaviors that are not tolerated for CM Punk. And so they, they're aware that this guy's got, some behaviors.
Yeah.
And they put a clause to address those behaviors.
Now, does it say anything like no front face locks in the gorilla position, no lunging at Triple H?
I doubt it says all that. You can't threaten Triple H's life on
We need to do a wellness check on Triple H every week to make sure he hasn't feared for his life.
Something tells me that won't happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Triple H won't be afraid of his life. Like, the guy can hold his own.
Yeah.
So we actually watched the daggum press conference.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of when was the last time I watched a press conference about wrestling.
Yeah.
And we watched the press conference, and Triple H talked about CM Punk briefly, and he alluded to some problems in the past, and that there's been issues, but he's like, well, we've changed, and he's changed, and I saw a meme that said when your ex comes back after 9 years saying that he's changed.
Yeah. Now in Punk's promo, that is the one thing I rolled my eyes at. I've changed. Okay. You had to get fired by Tony Khan to change? Is that what changed him?
No, I don't think that he's changed. I don't think he's changed at all.
I don't think he has either.
I think the WWE has changed, and Triple H basically, if you read between the lines, Vince McMahon had no to say in this decision. Because he talked about how the TKO board, people would be surprised by this as well.
Right.
And so Vince is probably like just going around his mansion, like just slamming things.
Dana White has commented on this from the UFC.
What did Dana say?
He loves CM Punk. He said he always had a good working relationship because, he fought in UFC a couple times.
Yeah.
So he has a working relationship with him, and he said he's always gotten along with him great, and he said he loves seeing him come back.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So the executives are happy.
Both sides are happy, right?
Yeah. Both sides are happy. Now, this will probably be a honeymoon period.
Well, you remember when we first came into AEW, there was like rainbows and unicorns and shit.
Yeah.
But it didn't take long for shit to hit the fan.
I will say, though, I would hope that it'll hit the fan longer than it'll take longer than it did with AEW.
Okay, so you're saying that it definitely will hit the fan at some point.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think everybody would agree to that at some point. Yeah, it'll happen.
CM Punk is just he's chronically unhappy. He's just
chronic unhappiness.
So, this is just a temporary reprieve from his normal state of being.
Yeah.
So, it's not going to change. I'm sorry, he hasn't changed.
No.
But he was with the WWE for a long time before he got burned out on it. So, will that 9-year absence kind of be refreshing for him, and maybe the burnout happens more slowly now, or maybe now that Triple H is in charge of creative, CM Punk will tolerate things more. But while Triple H is doing some things great, he is keeping some things that Vince did that the fans haven't liked. Like, I haven't seen a return of improv promos yet. It's very obvious that they're still scripted.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know why Triple H is going along with that.
Thank you. I was planning on bringing that up today. I don't know about you as a wrestling fan, but me, Punk being there, I think immediately improves it. Because he's going to go out there and cut his own promos. And that's just going to improve the show. Now, granted, if he's on Raw, that's probably the only segment I'm ever going to be interested in. And Raw did. Okay, so first off, I recorded Raw and I watched it later because I knew they were going to put CM Punk on last. I knew that, and I wasn't going to sit through 3 hours just to get to the CM Punk segment. So like the next morning when I got up, I just skipped ahead to the Punk segment and watched that. But it does make me want to watch WWE a little bit more now.
And you got LA Knight on SmackDown.
Right. So you got 2 great promo guys on each show. If Punk's going to be on Raw, somebody needs to be on Raw. Shit, it's just Cody and Jey Uso maybe.
Yeah, Jey Uso, Seth Rollins.
Yeah,
who I don't like this new incarnation of.
Well, if this feud goes like they're saying, I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, Seth Rollins and CM Punk would be an awesome feud.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on,
Yeah. Did you read all the stuff about all that stuff was worked, and they were trying to test out how it would, I guess, go over with the fans?
I haven't heard that it was all worked, but I saw a video of Seth Rollins that wasn't aired on TV where he was like flipping off CM Punk and like they were having to like secure him. I also heard that Drew McIntyre, like after the match, like rushed backstage and like promptly left out of like anger.
Yeah, but I don't know if that had to do with CM Punk though.
It might not have.
Maybe something went wrong during the match or something that he was pissed off about.
Might have been something that happened during War Games.
Maybe somebody potatoed him or something. He was pissed off. Who knows?
Yeah. we don't have any confirmation on any of that.
Right.
So it's hard to say. And Triple H, this is something that Triple H is good at that Vince McMahon never, I don't think, mastered the way I think Triple H can do, which is blending shoot and work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's gotten a lot of people to believe that there's like legit heat between Seth Rollins and CM Punk. And, for all I know, there might be a little bit of legit heat between the two.
There is legit heat, but here's the thing. And you've seen this probably in many feuds in the past. You'll have 2 guys that have legit heat, but if they both see money in doing a feud together, then they'll do it. They'll make it work. So it's, putting the business in front of, whatever problems you have with each other and just putting on a good show. I think they both can do that. Now, out of both of them, CM Punk, I think, would be the one to blow it up and fuck it up, but
yeah, between the 2.
But as the week went on after that, I was reading things like, I don't know if you saw this, but when Rollins did get backstage, he was like in a rage looking for Punk, like, where is that motherfucker? I'm going to knock him out. Rah, 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 rah. So I don't know if that was, it sounds like a work, but I don't know what doing something backstage with no cameras would
I think it's a work. Okay, here's another thing too. For the first time in a long time, there's a truly controversial figure in the WWE.
Yes.
It's like Eric Bischoff once said, controversy creates cash.
Wasn't that the name of his book?
Yeah. So we have a controversial figure in wrestling in the WWE.
Yep.
Triple H doesn't care if this blows up. He just says this is money right now.
Right.
Triple H would probably be like, if he did put somebody in a front face lock, if millions are pouring in, he'd probably say, all right, Punk, don't do that again. Because Triple H is different than Tony Khan. I mean, but I also don't think that Triple H is going to let it get to that point either. I don't think it's going to get there.
I think there's enough enforcers in the company to keep him at bay, to keep Punk at bay.
Yeah. The worst thing that can happen is that CM Punk throws a temper tantrum and pouts and stomps his way out the door.
Right.
Again. So that's the worst that could happen. Is he gets a live mic and rants and then leaves. So that's it. Yeah. That's the worst that can happen. And the last time that CM Punk did that, it didn't hurt the company. You got to look at this as well. Think about how much the company was not hurt by CM Punk leaving when he left from WWE, and think about how much it's hurt AEW that CM Punk has left. Right. It really took out AEW, and people weren't questioning AEW's ability to thrive until after CM Punk left.
Right.
Not en masse, okay, right. But when CM Punk left WWE, you had fans that were like me and didn't like the PG crap, and they would chant CM Punk's name whenever they saw crap they didn't like in the WWE. Yeah. But see, that's another thing too. That went away over time. The fans actually started liking what the WWE was actually putting out there, and they liked the Bloodline storyline, and they liked the. It's kind of like what you said. They're pushing the boundaries of PG. It's almost like they went to like the network or whatever and said, okay, what's the worst stuff that we can do in PG and keep it PG? Like, how far can we go with this?
Right.
Well, before it was like, okay, let's stop the match. Somebody's got to cut.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, there was blood on Raw. Drew McIntyre headbutted Seth Rollins.
Yeah, that's right.
His head hit the belt, and there's just blood coming out of his head.
Yeah.
A few years ago, they would have stopped everything and attended to that, and then kept running with the story, and it would have looked stupid.
Yeah, but in AEW, there's really nobody to make anyone put the channel on TBS and watch AEW. There's not one guy to do that. Punk was that guy.
He was, although I think they could put Kenny Omega back in the world title picture.
Yeah,
and AEW was thriving when Kenny Omega was champion.
Yeah. We get a whole other thing with AEW about that, about them not knowing how to book and storytelling and all that shit.
I think they have some guys. I mean, MJF's the champion now, but he just can't do it by himself.
No, and he's very new. I think there's a lot of a lot of fans, especially WWE fans specifically, that just don't know about him. I'm sure they probably heard of him, but they haven't seen him perform. Yeah. So they just don't know.
Right.
So, but if they gave it a chance and at least turned over when his segment was on, they would probably like it.
Yeah.
but that's going to take time. So.
Yeah. AEW is in a lull period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Yeah. And there's no one. I don't know what they do. I don't have any ideas really. I mean, things have got to improve. Storytelling's got to improve. And they need some consistency with how they present the talent, because it's just too many times they'll kind of give this guy a push and then you don't see him for a while, or they push him to Rampage, or they, there's just a lot of inconsistencies.
Right. Yep, indeed.
Like look at Jay White. He did the angle with MJF. They had the match at the pay-per-view, and now nothing. He's had a couple matches, one or two matches in this tournament. They're doing the Continental Classic, but But that's a demotion in my mind because you're going after a second or third tier title or whatever it is. So, I mean, what do you do with Jay White now?
Yeah.
I mean, he's back to the mid card. So, yeah.
Well, they did have him in the main event against Swerve on Dynamite, didn't they?
They did, and who won that match?
Well, there you go.
So, and why would you have that match? You just had Swerve Strickland coming off a great Texas death match with Adam Page, and you have Jay White coming off a world title match at a pay-per-view, and they put them in like the second round of this tournament. So you got two guys coming off pretty high-profile matches in a second-round match in a tournament that doesn't really mean much. The booking of that to me was
I haven't been able to get I've been watching AEW and there's been stuff that I've liked and I haven't been able to get into this tournament. Like I just don't care.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't see what the why should I get emotionally invested in this?
Right. And to be honest with you, I don't completely understand what's going on. I don't understand what the title is. What do you win? Seriously, what do you get at the end?
I don't know either. I don't know. I thought there was something I was missing or something.
I mean, we got to be missing something.
I mean, like, do they get to be a number one contender or something?
I don't know. I don't know what the Continental Classic means. Is there going to be a Continental title?
Maybe it's supposed to be like their version of King of the Ring, but like not as cool. I mean, at least with King of the Ring, you can walk around with a freaking crown on your head and like a robe
you can
and a scepter
and sit in the throne
and have a ring that the people have to kiss.
Yeah.
You know, and go around calling yourself King Booker and all this other stuff. I mean.
Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's the thing about that gimmick with Booker T as king. He pretty much killed that. Nobody can be a king anymore. So, and I guess AEW didn't want to rip off the WWE with the king gimmick, so they had to come up with this stuff. The Continental Continental Classic or whatever. So, I don't know. Like, what is it? Like, I mean, what are the bragging rights? What do you get out of this tournament? And it just seems tedious that everybody fights against everybody and there's this convoluted point system. That's another thing about AEW. They make the matches just much more complicated than they need to be. Like they'll rip off the WWE and do something, but then it'll be like extra stipulations. Like their Royal Rumble match. What is it called?
They have a Royal Rumble match?
Yeah, they have something that rips off the Royal Rumble where there's people individually called to the ring. But, like, once you get to, like, the last however many people, then it becomes, like, a regular match. I swear I saw something like that at AEW. What do they call their big battle royal?
I don't recall them having a name for that.
So, AEW Battle Royal, we're going to have to look it up. What is it called?
The Casino Battle Royal?
The Casino Battle Royal.
Okay.
Yeah, what is that, Lance? Like...
I see AEW, which is formatted as a modified Rumble Rules Battle Royal versions for traditional tag teams, Casino Tag Team Royal, and 3-man teams referred to by AEW as trios. The Casino Battle Royal features 21 entrants. The Casino Tag Team Royal features 10 to 15 tag teams. The winner of the Casino Battle Royal receives a World Championship match.
Listen to this. Listen to this crap.
It begins with a group of 5 wrestlers, and every 3 minutes, another group of 5 wrestlers enters, while the 21st and final entrant enters alone. The wrestlers are grouped based on the suit they drew from a deck of cards: spades, diamonds, clubs, and hearts.
What the heck?
And the order of when each group enters is based on a random draw of the cards.
Oh, my God.
The 21st and final entrant is the wrestler who drew the Joker. The winner receives a World Championship match of their respective genders division, the AEW World Championship or Women's World Championship. So, yeah.
Like
Casino Battle Royal.
Okay.
They enter 5 at a time, except for the last person. They enter by themselves.
That's just so convoluted, Lance. Don't you see it?
Yeah. It takes away the fun. It takes away the fun. The fun in the Royal Rumble is who's going to be next.
Yeah.
Next. Who's next? You don't have to worry about that because there's going to be 5 people at one time coming down.
I don't get it. Lance, you got anything else you want to say about CM Punk?
I mean, it's got me interested in WWE again.
Yeah.
I should say more because LA Knight's had my attention, of course. So it's got my attention more. And I'm just hoping that I touched on it before, but I'm just hoping that it'll lead to better non-scripted promos because that's just what they need. And like you said, I can't believe Triple H has gone along with this for so long. I sent you that video of Stone Cold from an interview a couple of years ago where he's talking about scripted versus natural promos.
Yeah.
He hit it head on. He basically said what you do is somebody's gonna go down to the ring and cut a promo on you. Listen to that motherfucker and react accordingly. Do that. You know,
it's simple. It's the way wrestling was done for ages.
Right. Right. And he said what we've been saying, you know, when a guy is rehearsing a scripted promo, you can see it in their eyes that they don't really believe what they're saying, you know, because it's not them. And I mean, shit, to me, that's the biggest problem with WWE, in my opinion.
Speaking of great promos, I don't know how to get through this.
Well, you by chance referring to Ric Flair in his promo this past week?
Yes.
Okay, so first off, before we start on that, are we talking about exactly what he said, or is it more of too many fans think he's old and should go away? Or is it both?
There's much, much, much more going on here than just his age.
Okay.
Much, much, much more.
Okay.
Lance, have you seen the Dark Side of the Ring Plane Ride from Hell episode?
I haven't seen that episode, no.
Okay, we'll get to it.
Okay.
All right. So, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, who is this is going to be hard for me to discuss because Ric Flair, through most of my life, has been my all-time favorite wrestler.
Yeah,
he was like an idol to me. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, who didn't want to be Ric Flair?
Right.
The money, the he was always in like just partying and having a good mood, and the women and the jet flying and the kiss stealing and the wheeling dealing and you know, I mean, you just grow up idolizing someone like that.
Yeah.
And he's the greatest wrestler of all time. Literally the greatest wrestler of all time. This is somebody that I met. And he was also speaking at this forum, and I actually managed to get the microphone, and I said, yes, Ric Flair. Like, how many times in your life do you get to address Ric Flair in a public forum? Yeah. And I asked him, you know, did he worry about his daughter Charlotte? This was years ago. Yeah. I mean, now she's like the 14-time world champion, so it may not make much sense now why he answered the way he did. But he said that he wasn't worried about her getting hurt in the ring because of how gifted of an athlete she is. And you've seen Charlotte. She can do everything. Yeah. In my opinion, I said Ric Flair's the greatest wrestler of all time. I meant that as like a total package: promos, charisma, character, you know, wrestling ability, great matches, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Charlotte Flair, she doesn't have the charisma and promo skills of a Ric Flair, but she's actually better in the ring than Ric Flair. Okay. Yes, she has. She can. I mean, when was the last time you seen Ric Flair do a moonsault? When was the last time? Well,
Ric Flair doesn't succeed at the top rope.
Charlotte does, right? Okay, but she can do the mat wrestling. She's strong. She has everything that her dad had plus more. Even her figure 8 is taking the figure 4 and making it one step higher than her dad did.
Right.
You know, have you seen the figure 8?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's she's better. She's superior, and as far as wrestling skill,
right.
She can't beat her dad as far as the charisma, and I don't know how you can beat him. I mean, this is one of the most charismatic wrestlers of all time. Yeah. People ask, you know, like, hey, if you only could watch the matches of one wrestler for the rest of your life, who would you choose? And for me, it's always been a toss up between Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Like those two, I could just sit there and just watch those two guys the rest of my life and be content with their matches, and I'll make it. I'll survive off of those two guys.
Right.
Has Ric Flair tarnished his legacy? And this is something that's a lot more than just age here. Okay, so here we go. As just a kind of a reminder of everything, I'm pulling up an article from the Sportster.com by Tony Parker, and it's called "It's Hard to Have Sympathy for Ric Flair," and there's a picture of his mugshot.
Yeah.
Okay. So it starts off by talking about, you know, his, you know, amazing career, and then it quickly gets into like all the bull crap. Okay. So there's a bunch of regrettable decisions and controversies with Ric Flair. You know, not long ago, at the age of 73, Ric Flair fought in Ric Flair's last match. And it talked about in the match, he appeared to be a shadow of his former self, struggling to move and so forth. He still wants to wrestle a match. He threatened to sue Becky Lynch for calling herself the Man, which that took place in a feud with his daughter, Charlotte.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, you should have let her take that. Like, that's part of the feud. I mean, you're hurting something that came up with your daughter in this. I mean, and I even heard that Charlotte was kind of like distancing herself from Flair when he was doing this.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like a greedy grab for money. Is what it looked like to me.
Right.
From the outside, from a guy that has blown all of his money.
Yeah.
And is desperate for money to pay all of his alimony payments he's past due on or something.
Yeah.
So he did apologize later, but it didn't help. He's had real life heat with Mick Foley, who he insulted as being a glorified stuntman. Bret Hart, and making a bunch of accusations about Bret Hart, including that he uses the same moves in every match, as well as, you know, exploiting things in his career and even his brother's death. And he's had heat with Bruno Sammartino and Hulk Hogan. So, you know, that's not good. His personal life. Okay, listen to this. And this is his youngest son, Reed Flair, who's now dead, has pushed his mother out of the elevator, breaking her arm, resulting in Flair beating him up and passing out in the process. So that's not functional. Well, there's also allegations that from like his fourth ex-wife that of infidelity and neglecting alimony payments. Well, that's not a surprise at all. You know, especially the infidelity. There was the Flair 30 for 30 or whatever. Yeah. Like that's like, how soon after one of your marriages you cheated? And he was like, the next day. Or something like that. I don't remember.
Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't long. Like the wedding cake had not exited their digestive system by the amount of time that it took for Ric Flair to cheat on his wife.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically. And, you know, there's controversy about Reed's death and everything else. And, you know, Flair talks about feeling, you know, guilt for, you know, even though he didn't cause it. You know, he still feels a lot of guilt for it. You know, so it does seem that he has some regret for some of his decisions. But this is something I'm about to talk about that Ric Flair has explicitly denied, okay?
All right.
So in 2002, the WWE basically went overseas to Europe, and they had a private plane or whatever chartered for all their guys to make travel easier for them, kind of like as a gift. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to get into that yet. Let me talk more about his legal troubles, and then I'll get back into that, okay? He was accused of assaulting a motorist and damaging the individual's vehicle. He failed to fulfill his legal obligations with Ring of Honor. Of course, there's all the alimony that he was behind on and all that. He once took the NWA World Heavyweight Championship and used it as collateral for a loan. So, back to the plane ride from hell. The plane ride from hell featured all kinds of craziness, like Kurt Hennig and Brock Lesnar getting into a actual fight. Here's the thing about the plane ride from hell, okay?
Okay.
Lance, if somebody told you, hey, I saw Glenn, after work, he went on the treadmill for 45 minutes and went home and ate a vegetarian meal consisting of 0 calories and meditated for 2 hours, while burning incense, living this like ultra mentally and physically healthy lifestyle. What would you think about that?
Well, I mean, I would be reacting just like I am right now.
Okay, let's say somebody said that Glenn went home and he was spotted ordering a Domino's pizza.
Yeah.
And eating it, half of it, while playing Skyrim.
Yeah.
What would you say about that?
Well, I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, why is this news?
Yeah.
The other one's news. This one's not news.
So there's a sexual assault allegation on this plane. Okay, now if I love Ric Flair. He's the greatest wrestler of all time. Mm-hmm. Got every reason to defend this guy. But also I know Ric Flair. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, if somebody told me that, like, he dragged somebody in a dark alley and sexually assaulted them, I'd say that doesn't sound like Ric Flair.
Right.
Okay? But the allegation was that he was running around with just his robe and spinning his penis like a helicopter. Yeah. Okay. And this is where it gets serious.
Okay.
Flight attendant Heidi Doyle alleged that Flair imposed himself on her and forced her to touch his genitals. Okay. Flair adamantly denies this. Okay. It sounds like something Ric Flair would do. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunately believable.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately believable.
Yeah.
It's a believable story.
Right.
And that's the thing too. I remember even telling an old girlfriend that, like, well, out of all the all these wrestlers, all these scandals, and Hulk Hogan and what's his name from NXT and all these scandals, that Ric Flair is one of the few legends in wrestling that doesn't have some crazy scandal hanging over his head. Despite being, aside from infidelity, but that's just, mean, that happens every day.
Yeah.
That's not on the same level to me as sexual assault is. Not saying infidelity is good. I'm pro infidelity, but it's not the same thing to me. And then this crap comes up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, my gosh, like what am I supposed to think of this?
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds awfully true. Mm-hmm. So WWE for a while completely just took Flair off of everything, took him off of the intro on their shows and all that. They later re-added his woo.
Yeah.
And it's still down. It's still there, mm-hmm. even though he's in AEW. Mm-hmm. But they kind of distanced themselves from Ric Flair. AEW turns around and hires Ric Flair. It's controversial. AEW kind of has a social justice vibe to it. Let's just be real. I mean, am I wrong?
Yeah.
Well, aside from the AEW fans that are calling me fat, body shamers.
Yeah, that's not social justice right there.
No, that's not social justice.
But yeah, they
not friends giving each other hugs.
Right. But yeah, they've been open about gay wrestlers on their show and trans people on their show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they got this social justice vibe going on, and then they hire Ric Flair. Mm-hmm. How does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So once again, live mics here.
Yeah.
They give Ric Flair a live mic on a taping of Rampage.
Yeah.
And Ric Flair does what Ric Flair has always done.
Yes.
Which is he invited all the 18 to 28-year-old women in the audience mm-hmm. to his hotel room after the show.
Yes.
That's always what Ric Flair has done. Okay, if I hadn't told you about this incident mm-hmm. with Heidi Doyle, mm-hmm. and that's another thing too, like most of the time when you have these wrestlers with controversy, you never hear from their alleged victims. Like apparently Jerry Lawler had sexual interactions with a 13-year-old or something, but there's no proof of it. There's no evidence, and we've never heard their testimony or anything.
Right.
There's a lot of wrestlers that have allegations that we never heard from the person. Heidi Doyle is on Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
And she's visibly torn mm-hmm. about this incident that happened to her on this plane. You can't help but believe her.
Yeah.
You can't help but believe her. And so you take this guy that has this serious allegation against him that the WWE settled out of court in response to, he goes out there and makes a comment like that.
Yeah.
It's not just being old. It's his attitude and demeanor towards women. Yes, Ric Flair's tarnished his legacy. There's no way around it. I mean, that's all I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. I'm not totally sure what AEW thought they were going to get out of bringing in Ric Flair anyway.
Ratings.
Well, again, I mean, that's kind of like what are people going to tune in just for Ric Flair? Especially when he's not consistently on TV.
I tuned in for Rampages to see what they interview.
That's because you already heard about it.
Yeah. And they cut out a huge portion of the promo. I was told it was a long promo. You watch Rampage, mm-hmm. 1 minute he's talking, and then it's like you can see the moment that he's about to talk about the 18 to 28-year-old women, and it cuts, and then he teleports across the ring, and he's talking about something else that makes no sense because it's completely out of context. Mm-hmm. And then Tony Schiavone gets the mic back.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It's tough.
He can still cut a promo.
He can.
He can still do that. But I don't know where the money is in that. Because right now his whole thing is that he's just kind of at Sting's side as he goes through his last few matches until Revolution. That's pretty much. That's what this whole thing is.
Then he gets on Twitter and does this huge book post, basically saying, if I'm an embarrassment to Tony Khan, then I don't need your money, which I'm thinking that's a lie. He desperately needs the money.
Yeah.
He desperately needs the money. It just embarrasses him even further. Like don't get on social media, Rick. I mean, my goodness.
So he basically missed the point of all the heat.
Yeah, he missed it. Yeah, he didn't get it.
That's why I was asking, because, you read that tweet, and if you don't know anything else, it sounds like it's just because of his age.
No, it's being tone deaf.
It's his past.
His past, yeah.
And that promo he just cut.
Yeah, about 18 and 28-year-old women.
Right.
He's like 70-something.
Right.
Which is, disgusting.
Right. Well, Al Pacino is like 80, and he knocked up a 29-year-old recently.
Well, hey.
It's not...
Well, I let me back up. I mean, if somebody's old and they go with somebody young, that's not my business. I'm not here to judge. But when Ric Flair is saying it after his CD passed, it makes it look worse.
And now it sounds a little creepy.
Yeah, it sounds creepy.
It sounds a little creepy, yeah.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Adds a layer of creepiness to it.
I just want to see, I don't mind him being on there and cutting a good price. I just want to see him do his usual thing. I want to hear about the limousine riding and the wooing and all that stuff. And, my shoes cost more than your house. And
Well, and that's the thing. I understand AEW's decision of why they hire Ric Flair, especially with Sting's retirement and everything else. Mm-hmm. And, Tony's probably like me. He probably always idolized Ric Flair.
So you think maybe this is the mark in him bringing him in?
Yeah.
This is what a mark would do?
This is what a mark would do.
Right.
Triple H would never do this.
Right.
Especially with like the women's wrestling movement being so strong in the WWE.
Yeah, for sure.
He wouldn't bring in someone like Ric Flair, at least not on a permanent basis. I mean, I think Ric Flair's been involved with the WWE here and there for certain things.
Yeah.
But I mean, in my opinion, Ric Flair should be like, he should just be relegated to any kind of like documentaries or commentaries about wrestling history, and just keep him in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, you put him on TV now, you're taking away valuable screen time.
Exactly, and
he's had his time.
Right.
He's had his time. He screwed it up. I know that he was very ill, and we only got so much time to have Ric Flairs in this world, and I'm glad that he's healthier now and doing well and feeling well. But he needs to be selling Car Shield and just maybe doing interviews about wrestling history and stay there.
Right.
And not on the microphone.
And maybe help out in the back, because
maybe help out in the back.
He knows a thing or two about wrestling.
He does know something about wrestling.
These older guys, that's where they need to be, because AEW, in the back, they have Mark Henry, they have Jerry Lynn, they have Dean Malenko. They have all these minds in the back that are supposed to be helping out. Apparently not enough. Apparently Tony's not letting them do enough.
Well, also these young
Ric
guys
Flair could be another one of those guys.
Yeah, but who's going to listen to any of those guys?
Well, that's a whole other problem.
That's another problem, right?
Me, you, Tony, the guy that's a fan of Vince Russo, we talked about this. Tony Khan needs to be a boss and say, you have to listen to these guys.
Yeah.
That's Tony Khan's part in this.
Yeah.
You got to listen to these guys. These guys know what they're talking about. They've been doing it for combined, 300 years combined? I don't know.
Yeah. So, it sounds like what we're saying is Ric Flair still has use, but it's just not in the way he's being utilized.
Right, yeah. He's being carted out to the ring like a dinosaur fossil. Like a relic of the past. Here's Ric Flair, the greatest wrestler of all time.
We're going to
but he's not anymore.
We're going to take his DNA and like recreate the greatest wrestler of all time. Like
Jurassic Flair.
He's going to come out of an egg on Survivor Series. like the gobbledygooker.
Oh man! Wow! Wow!
Wow! The gobbledygooker came back. Like I think it was like last year. By the way,
I did not.
He
know
won
this.
the 24/7 title.
What?
I think against R-Truth, and then
what?
Yeah, the gobbledygooker came back for Survivor Series. It was either last year or the year before. I can't remember. It was great. I promptly downloaded the gobbledygooker on WWE. I think it was 2K22 at the time.
Now, I mean that's great for us that kind of know who that is. But how many people remember the gobbledygooker? How many people in that crowd remember that? How many people watching remember?
I think it was during the pre-show. So, like, the arena hadn't even been fully filled up.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of just kind
of a joke.
Okay, yeah.
all right.
The 24/7 title wasn't a serious title.
Okay.
Even though R-Truth, speaking of R-Truth's return, he
Yeah.
is the most decorated wrestler in all of WWE history because he won the 24/7 title, I think, 54 times. So, R-Truth is the most decorated wrestler in all of WWE history, with like probably over 60 title wins or something.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah,
that is fantastic.
yeah. That's a nice palate cleanser from this particular subject today. Oh my God.
Speaking, that's completely off topic from what we've been talking about. But just speaking of titles, who's the? I keep seeing these belts I've never seen before. They look like old school belts that these guys are. I'm talking about WWE. There's these older looking belts these guys are carrying around.
Older looking belts.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who was carrying one. Finn. Who is it? Finn.
Dominic Mysterio.
Is it Dominic?
Yeah, he is the NXT North American champion.
Is that what that's what that belt is?
And then there's also the Finn Balor and Damian Priest. They are the undisputed tag team champions, so they have both the SmackDown and the Raw tag team championships.
Okay.
So maybe you're talking about those belts are silver.
I think so. Yeah.
Do they look like that?
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, those are the tag belts. They've got the Raw and SmackDown tag belts at the same time.
Okay. All right.
So
okay. Yeah, I was just wondering what that was. I saw that Survivor Series. I saw these belts. I'm like, what are those belts?
Yeah, those are the tag. Those are the tag belts for both Raw and SmackDown.
Okay.
And so they're holding them at the same time, and they're being defended as the undisputed tag team championships. Okay.
Now, I'm surprised that they look so much different than the other belts.
Yeah.
Because every belt has the big W. And
Right. Those actually, if you look at the belts like more closely, I mean, like they got the Roman heads, and it's a tag team, the Roman heads.
Okay.
And there's a very small WWE logo at the top.
Yeah, that's the way it should be.
Yeah, that's actually how a belt should look,
right?
So.
Oh man.
Well, so CM Punk's back. That's good. Ric Flair has tarnished his legacy. I had to admit that, and that was hard.
Yes.
It doesn't take away my memories of all the matches I watched and everything else, but unfortunately, it does. His legacy is forever tarnished by his behavior.
I have to agree. All right, so will that about wrap it up?
Yep.
All right. Well, until next week, we'll see y'all later.